You owe it to yourself to avoid falling into this common retirement trap that so many have faced. You have, up to this point, built a life. You have spent your entire life building up to this moment where you were looking at what complete freedom of time looks like, where you don't have to wake up and be on somebody else's clock. You're to a point now where you're getting into a chapter of your life that is filled with decisions and choice and capabilities that you maybe haven't focused your time and attention on because you've been busy. You've been in the workforce. You have been maybe building a company. There's so many things that have captured your energy and your attention and your time up to this point that so often people can just go to or go through the motions or get to this point where they have just been go, 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 go without really pausing to think about what it means to create a fulfilling retirement and in turn to avoid the common trap that so many people have fallen privy to. So up to this point, you know what you either are or have retired from. So maybe you're somebody who is gearing up and you're getting ready for that big day, that moment where you get to wake up and you don't have to be anywhere by a certain time, or you don't have to go lead a team by a certain time. You basically get to make choices completely for yourself. So again, you know what you're retiring from. You know what you have woken up to every single day for the past how many years. This is something that you could recite in your sleep. Maybe you got up and you did some stretches, or you read a little bit, and then you got your coffee, and then you hit the road and you went to your office and you made a lot of decisions all day long, and you interacted with people and you served clients or customers, or whatever that looks like for you. That's all easy to define. That's simple to define because you have been doing it. It's been your life. But now, all of a sudden, there comes a time where you have to decide what it is that you're retiring to. So imagine for a minute, you can even close your eyes thinking about this. Imagine that it is your first day of retirement, waking up with a total sense of complete freedom, freedom of time, freedom of where your energy is going, of who you'll share your time with. This first day is completely surreal, and you have waited for so long for this to happen. Now, that warm, fuzzy feeling, that feeling and anticipation of that special day, what happens when this feeling starts to wear off? What about when the excitement of retirement is no longer there, and now you're wondering how you're going to fill your days? What about that moment when how you thought you were going to fill your days maybe isn't as fun or fulfilling as you had imagined? So those things are going through your head, right? So you're preparing for retirement. You're so excited. You have that feeling of that first day of total freedom. And then a few days later, it's still pretty exciting. And then a couple of weeks go by, and maybe a couple of months, and all of a sudden you're sitting there going, where did the time go? And what am I going to do with the rest of my time? How do you define that? Well, one way you can do that is by avoiding this common trap that I'm going to share here in a moment, and being very intentional with your future. So you might be listening to this, just to give context here, you might be listening to this and you're somebody who's already in retirement. And, maybe you still have that warm, fuzzy feeling when you wake up, and that's great. That's wonderful. Or maybe you're somebody listening to this and this is resonating with you. You're maybe sitting in that moment where you're going, yeah, that's me. I'm raising my hand, and I am that person that a couple months, a couple years have gone by, and I'm not as fulfilled by the things I thought I would be. So what's next? Those are things that you want to make sure that you're taking into consideration. Even if you're in the moment, if you are in retirement and you are that warm, fuzzy person, and you are the person who's waking up feeling like you have that good sense of intentionality still to this day, it doesn't mean that you can't fall privy to this trap that I'm about to talk about as well. So these tips are things that you can continue to apply, because just like so many other moments in our life, there are peaks and valleys. There's times where you feel really, really good and things are on track and you're loving where you're at and life feels wonderful. And then there's those other moments where it doesn't feel that way. You maybe feel the opposite. Maybe it's something has shook your world. Maybe there's, you're having this discovery that the life that you thought you wanted isn't actually what you envisioned. Maybe you've been faced with a massive loss. Maybe you have lost a spouse and this life that you envisioned and what you wanted for your future is no longer possible because the person you thought you were going to spend the most time with isn't there anymore. So again, you think that's the deepest of dark valleys. That's the complete opposite of your highest point and your peaks. But the point here is that you can't control the things that are going to happen or potentially could happen in your retirement years or leading up to those years. But what you can control is where you put your attention, where you put your focus, how you spend your time, and how you can gear yourself up to create the biggest definition of success, or the most alignment around what you define as successful in this next chapter, in these years ahead. So it's up to you to make sure that you are focusing on abundance, that you're focusing on fulfillment and the life that you want to lead versus all that could potentially go wrong or all that could negatively impact your plan. So one great framing before I get into this common retirement trap that you want to make sure you stay out of is to really think about what is it that you want to be known for. So if you think back to what I started talking about at the beginning of this video, you know what you're coming from, you know what you're coming off of, you know the person that you have been up to this point, you know that you were, maybe a business owner or a professional, and you know the work and the effort and the time and the energy and all those things that you brought to the table. You want to make sure that you have a newfound sense of identity, that you're looking at who your future self might be. A great resource for that is from Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He also has a YouTube channel. He's a wonderful, smart human being, has a book coming out all on the future self. So really thinking about how life, this isn't the chapter for you to just sail off into the sunset. This is the chapter for you to redefine who you are, what you want, and really what you want to be known for. So you've gone up to this point, you've created success, you've lived in that success. And now what about significance? What about your life is going to help you, or potentially could help you, create a life of significance? And significance has many different definitions here. You can think about, what do you want to be known for? There's this thing where we can fall out of congruency to who we actually truly are and who we want to be. So if you want to be known for or known as the person who was completely family oriented, who always put family first, who was dedicated to their loved ones, but yet up to this point, you've actually spent minimal time with your family because your life has been tied to your career. All of a sudden, as we redefine who we are, we're out of congruency. So that shift can be really difficult to navigate when we think about that life of significance and what we want to be known for. Now is the time for you to really rethink, what that looks like to you, and, what that known component actually means to you. The other thing too is, who do you want to be most remembered by? Now think about that. Think about how I said that. Who do you want to be most remembered by? Another way to frame this is, who are the people in this next chapter, in your retirement years, that you want to be spending the most time with? Do you want that to be with your kids and your grandkids? Do you want it to be with maybe colleagues, maybe people from your industry, and you're all navigating this next chapter together? Whether you have a significant other or not, who is it that you want to have the most vivid memories of you? Because that can help you shape how you're spending your time, and that can actually help you make decisions that are going to potentially help you avoid this trap I'm about to share. What's the impact you want to make on who and why? This is your chance too. Maybe for all these years, you've wanted to donate some of yourself. So your time, your energy to a cause that's meaningful. When you think about donation or giving, it doesn't always have to be monetary. Oftentimes with people that we've worked with over the years, that monetary component that has been part of their life. So they've donated in that sense. But what they maybe haven't had as much time for is that physical act of giving. So getting involved in something that's meaningful to you. So these are all questions as you're thinking about retirement years, and you're thinking about the things you can control, and you're thinking about all the good that's ahead of you. Those are great spaces to put your time, energy, and attention so that you can avoid falling into the trap of thinking that your best years are behind you. So let that resonate just for a moment. The retirement trap that so many can fall victim to is thinking that there isn't much life left out there, that you've lived your best years and that your best years are now behind you. Because what does that do to your brain and to how you're trying to refocus and shift? It doesn't give it anything to look forward to. And if you look up, statistics around people who pass early in retirement, it's often tied back to those people that don't have a defined sense of purpose. So you don't want to fall into the trap of thinking that your best years are behind you, because by far they are not. Now, this can be difficult too for somebody that's had a loss, be it a loss of a spouse or, even a parent or siblings or heaven forbid, children. It can be really hard to reshape your framing around the best years being ahead of you when you've suffered through something great and tragic. So the thing around that is that it doesn't mean that you don't honor those things that have happened. It just means that you're simply reshifting your attention, refocusing your attention to look at the things in your life that you can control and how you can make the most out of the years ahead of you. Our whole intent for you is that you're laying on your deathbed and you have no regrets, and that you've lived full, and that you've embraced possibility and opportunity, and you've defined what success means to you for you in your life, not by somebody else's definition, not by somebody else's standard. So again, one of the ways to do that is to avoid that trap of thinking that all the great stuff is behind you, because there is so much good ahead of you and so many wonderful things that you can be doing. So constantly putting your attention on, what is great, what's ahead of you, what are things that you're looking forward to, things that you maybe haven't gotten to up to this point in your life that you can now shift your energy and attention to. So if you like this, be sure to go and tune into episode number 5 of our podcast. So right here on our YouTube, you'll be able to see episode 5 of our podcast, where we dive a little bit deeper into the mix of money and mindset. If you like what you're hearing, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you get the updates anytime that we drop new video, anytime that we put new content out there. That also helps us get in front of more people just like you, to be able to help people live that fulfilled retirement, that dream-filled retirement that has you feeling like you're simply turning the page in your book versus closing it all together. So again, be sure to like and share to help get this message out there. Also, a link below where you can get access to our latest book that is launching on June 14th. You can get your copy via the link below, and we'll be able to provide more insight on where money and mindset meet.